She is in concert with her song, You Don't Have a Heart.
You don't have a heart, you don't have a soul, you don't see things clear, baby, I'm too old to teach you about love. I get down on my knees, I wish you the best, but it's time for me to leave. No, you don't have a heart.
Shelby, who were you talking about there?
You don't have a heart? Let me see.
Is that a long list?
I think it was family.
Yeah. That's funny. Nice to have you on the program.
It's so good to be here, man.
I've been dying to ask you one question.
Okay.
I got more than one, but one I really want to ask.
All right.
What's a country superstar like you doing living in Palm Springs, California? Shouldn't you be in Nashville or Alabama or Tennessee or
I
somewhere?
tried all of that,
Yeah.
and they don't have cement ponds there like they do in the desert. That's what I was telling the boys in the band. You know.
Yeah.
Plenty of cement ponds. And,
How did you settle on Palm Springs? When you say that you tried the Nashville thing and it didn't work
Yeah.
out, you're serious about that, actually?
well, you know, it wasn't that it didn't work out. I just did that.
Yeah.
You know, I was ready to move on and change record labels. They were out here, you know. And I had never been to Palm Springs before, and after I got through the traffic of Los Angeles,
3 hours
decided,
later,
I decided to keep driving.
Right.
And when I got to Palm Springs, I stopped.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. I just, I love the heat. It doesn't bother me. You know, I'm usually on the road anyway when it's 120.
Yeah.
And it's nothing but cool old people, and I like old people.
All right. I'm not sure we're going to hire
They're
you.
retired, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to hire you at the Visitors Bureau in Palm Springs. But anyway.
Well, it's kind of, you know what, that's kind of who goes there.
Yeah. Hey, I go to Palm Springs. I'm not that old, Shelby.
Right. Oh, well, you know, I mean, except for us.
Okay,
you know.
except for us, yeah.
Yeah.
Your story, the story of how you found your way to Palm Springs is fascinating. So you drive through the LA traffic,
Right.
you stop and you're in Palm Springs, you like it.
Uh-huh.
That story is not unfamiliar as I listen to you share it, given what I have learned about your past, about your history. The way you got into this business in terms of really getting an opportunity came in the most funny sort of way, as far as I'm concerned. Your story at Opryland.
Oh, yeah.
I love that story. Tell the story.
My opportunity came in the Mobile Press Register, the newspaper there. They were had done an announcement there that they were going to be having auditions for people that wanted to try out for Opryland. And my grandmother said, "You need to go. You got to go." I said, "Nanny, I don't want to be at Opryland. I want to be recording. I want to be a star." Well, it'll get you there. I said, "Okay." So I went. I took my little guitar, and there was the panel of judges, you know, and tons of people. You know, everybody wants to be a star, you know. So, and I played my song. I think it was the Judds. I think I played the Judds song or something. Of course, I didn't win.
Yeah.
I didn't get in. So the cool thing is I met a songwriter there, who was a local songwriter, and he asked me if I'd be interested in singing his demos, and I said, "Sure. I'm looking for any experience I can get, you know, because my goal was to get to Nash Vegas and make records."
You weren't really trying for Palm Springs, you were trying for Vegas.
That's right. I had no earthly idea I'd ever wind up here as a Californian even, you know, but now I can't imagine living anywhere else.
So what happens next? You meet the songwriter, you do some songs on his demo.
Yeah, and I don't know, tape got shuffled around in Nashville to several people. One happened to be an old cat named Bob Tubert, and he was an old songwriter guy. I hate to say he's old. He's probably watching going on. He's still around. He's still with us.
Yeah.
But he wound up being my first manager, and he took the cassette tape over to this program that's long since gone now, called Nashville Now.
On TNN?
Right.
Yeah, I used to watch that,
Yeah. Well, of course, I watched. That was, you know, my dream. If I could get on Nashville Now, I knew I'd make it. Well, old Bob had alerted the labels that, you know, check this girl out. You know, she's 18 years old, fresh out of the sticks. Try it. So I did a couple of the cats, the songwriters' original songs, and I had laryngitis even. I had gotten so nervous that I couldn't hardly sing. Next day I had some record deal offers, and here we are.
And here we are.
And I'm on Tavis Smiley show.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
Well, I'm honored to have you here.
I'm honored.
That is a great story, though, of how you went to try out for one thing.
Right.
And what you went to do, you didn't accomplish.
Yeah.
But somebody else was there and
It's, you know, that's kind of the way life is. It's
Yeah.
nothing's ever the way you expect it's going to be, is it? You know, you just you know, look at one hand and then look at the other, and hopefully you choose the right one.
Yeah. What were you thinking the night you won the Grammy for Best New Country Artist? And I asked that specifically because you had done a number of albums. Even after this wonderful
Yes.
story, you got started. You really
Yes.
are, I don't want to say journeyman, you're a journey woman.
Well,
you've,
yeah.
You've gone a real interesting route to the success that you now have.
Yeah.
What were you thinking, though, after you've done any number of albums, and finally you get to this place where the Grammy Awards, you get nominated and you win as Best New Artist, but you've done a lot of albums to get to being the Best New
That's
Artist.
right. I had realized the other day that I have been making records half of my life. And,
Does that make you feel old?
No, it really doesn't.
So everybody else is old but you. I got it, all right.
You know, I'll tell you what I thought. I wanted that Grammy so bad because I had to pay for that outfit. And that was the only way I was going to be able to... it's true,
That
man.
sounds like a good country song. I think there's a lyric somewhere in there.
You know, Bob
Yeah.
Mackey ain't cheap.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, you know, I knew it was 6 albums. That was
Yeah.
my 6th record. And you know, a lot of people ask me that question, and I always say, the only way I can explain it or understand it myself is that it was a new audience for most people, because the records I made in Nashville made little impact. You know, I have a great following, great fans, stuck with me through thick and thin, and sure to get thicker and thinner. But you know, I never had really made that record, and I think it all comes down to making the real record that you really, really want to make. And that's what happened with me on that record. I started really just doing exactly what I wanted to do, writing the songs how I wanted to write them, about the content, you know, about the things I wanted to write about, musically, production-wise, getting the things like I wanted to sound, and just doing it and having nothing to lose.
You know, I'm glad you said that because it seems to me on the one hand, depending on how one looks at it, that what you just described, doing it your way, as Frank Sinatra said, doing it my
That's
way,
right.
can be one of two things. It could be, on the one hand, stuck on stupid.
Right.
On the other hand, it can be rather courageous. Stuck on stupid because you're trying to put something out that doesn't really sound the way that Nashville says it ought to sound. And you really can't be serious about trying to get to Las Vegas and be a star if you're going to put stuff out that is terribly different than what Nashville wants to hear. On the other hand, it's brilliant, it's courageous. If you stick with what you really want to do, it just may take you 6 albums to get there. Did you ever think that...
I think it's a matter, Tavis, of doing what you, in your soul, have to do to be satisfied. I mean, personally, I like sleeping at night. And I like listening to my records. I made many records that I couldn't listen to. And there's a lot of reasons why. But, you know, when I really get to thinking why, it was because I wasn't making the music that I loved, my tunes. And I'm not opposed to cutting anybody else's tunes. Rainy Night in Georgia's on this record, you know, one of the greatest songs ever. It's just about satisfying your musical soul and not giving up your own power as a musician. And I got happy and decided I may not sell 20 million records, but I might sell 20,000, and that's not too bad either. I
just heard another lyric, another country song. I got happy. So as you talk, I'm getting these songs that are coming to me.
Okay, you start
writing
writing
That's a good country song. I got happy.
And send them to me.
Tell me, you mentioned Rainy Night in Georgia. It is one of the great songs ever written. Since you do like performing and doing your own stuff, tell me how you decided that that was a song that was worthy of Shelby Lynne covering it.
Well, I'll tell you why. Tony Joe White's a good friend of mine. We were neighbors back when I lived in Nashville, and met one night at a club somewhere, and then we fooled around, started writing songs, and we have remained friends all these years. Well, there's another song on this record he wrote called Old Time's Sake that I wanted to cut for years. I think Elvis cut it. I know Tony Joe White cut it, maybe a couple other people, but the song just, to me, is a great tune. It's got a soulful feel, it's got a great lyric, it's classic melody, you know, and I just love what the song's about. So when boys and I were in Nashville cutting the record, I thought, what a great opportunity. Tony Joe's in town. Let's get him to come over and play on old time's sake. So after we finished that and we nailed it, I said, I'm going to do the whole cliche here, man. I'm going to ask you flat out, will you cut Rainy Night in Georgia with me? And he said, yeah, but I think we ought to do it a little different. I said, okay, hit it. So we did. And it's one of the proudest records I think I've ever made.
Well,
yeah.
I am proud of you, and there's so much about you, so much about your past that we did not get to, and I know you've been asked.
Well, we'll come back and do it
We'll come back
later.
and do it some other time, because there's so much about you that I find fascinating with regard to the personal journey of empowerment and enlightenment that you have been on. So I'm glad to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Shelby Lynne has a new CD out. It is called Suit Yourself. Up next on this program, she's going to be joined by some of her band to perform the first track off this new CD, Go With It. I love this song. Tell me something about it right quick. Tell me anything about Go With It.
Go With It. I'll tell you. I picked up my guitar one day and it was out of tune. And I played, and I liked the chord I heard, so I wrote a song around it.
And it's called Go With It.
That's it.
Wow. It should be that easy for the rest of us. You just pick it up, you start strumming it, something works, and I think there's a song here called Go With It. So we'll do just that. We'll go with it with Shelby and her band in a moment. Stay with us. From the CD, Suit Yourself, here is Shelby Lynne and her band performing Go With It. Enjoy. Good night from Los Angeles, and keep the faith.
2, 3, go! Don't know where the time's gone. I must have lost it in the night. Maybe it was when I was holding on. I couldn't get you out of my sight. Maybe this is trying to tell us something. Maybe we're doing something right. You just go with it. You know it feels good. You go with it. You know it feels good. You do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Just let go, oh yeah. You never look so beautiful to me. And maybe it's the love in your eye. Together we fit perfect, darling. Don't let another moment go by. Or maybe this is a real thing, baby. Or maybe this is what it is. You just go with it. You know it feels good. You go with it. You know it feels good. You do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Just let go, yeah. Come on, give me some. Oh, kiss me, darling, we can start it all again. Oh, we can be certain it's not in our hand. Oh, hold the river, and we don't have to worry. I won't live without you again. No, 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 you go with it. You know it feels good. You go with it. You know it feels good. You go with it. You know it feels good. You do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, let go, yeah. Woo! All right. Hey, just let go, yeah. Oh yeah, hit it, baby.
For more information on today's show, visit